Is Suri Deitch, and I'm the Dean of the Tulane School of Professional Advancement. And it's really nice to have you all here with us today. I'm joined by my colleague, Sheila Gold, who oversees recruitment and admissions for the school, and Ann Conlon, who's behind the scenes running the slides. And if you're able to turn your video on, it'd be great to see you, but we completely understand if you're somewhere where you can't do that. But actually, if you could put your name and where you're calling in from and the program that you're interested in the chat box at the bottom of the screen, that would be really helpful, just to know who's here and what you're interested in. So probably everyone knows Zoom at this point, but it's the little box at the bottom of the screen, and I see people are starting to do that. So welcome to those of you who are in New Orleans and the Gulf Coast region, and welcome to those of you who are outside of the Gulf Coast, whether in the United States or in another country. Actually, graduate students at SoPA are about split half between those who are relatively local to New Orleans and those who are in many other places. So, this is it's a really interesting time in New Orleans. We just got past our Mardi Gras season, which was a relatively normal Mardi Gras, right, as such things go, and the weather is beautiful in New Orleans. It's the exact time of year when you feel really grateful and happy to live here, I would say, and it's a great time to be thinking about going back to school. There are so many opportunities for students at all stages of careers who are thinking about going back to school, whether it's for a certificate or a degree, all kinds of mobility in the workplace, people changing jobs, people changing careers. If you pay attention to what's going on in the labor market, the balance of power feels like it's shifted from, to some degree, from employers back to people who work in pretty much every field. And so it's a great time to be thinking about your options and to be thinking about, again, certificates and degrees. And Tulane SoPA is a perfect place to do it. And so Sheila and I are going to give you some general information during this session about our programs without going into a lot of detail. I see people who are interested in various different fields, and we have webinars that are focused on each of our program areas where you can meet faculty from those programs. We're going to talk generally about what it's like to be a student at SoPA, what we offer, and then about the admissions process and important things like how much it costs to come here and all that. So again, if you haven't put your name in, if you want to go ahead and let us know where you're calling in from, and your name, where you're calling in from, and the program that you're interested in, that would be great. All right, so we always like to talk about how Tulane has a long history of educating working adults and offering applied programs that are relevant to the workplace, going all the way back to the founding of the university as the Medical College of Louisiana. It was created to fight tropical disease. Actually, unlike many private institutions of its kind, which were typically founded as seminaries, religious seminaries, for young men who were looking to go into the priesthood, Tulane was founded to solve problems. And SoPA's predecessor school was actually the third school created at Tulane. So Tulane also has a really long history of educating working adults in the way that we do. And so we're glad to have that history, which is really meaningful, and to be able to do it in a 21st century fashion, which in many cases means educating people through online programs that mix time spent on your own doing the work with time spent interacting with your faculty and peer students. So a long history. In the next slide, just an overview of the topic areas that we're going to cover quickly during this session. You should feel free to put questions into the chat at any point, although we'll also take a minute at the end to see if people have questions. And if we can't address them right during this session, then we will get back to you later. So I'm going to talk about online, which is where most of our instruction happens at the graduate and post-baccalaureate level. A little bit about our programs and faculty without getting, like I said, without getting into too much detail, how we support students and make sure that you have everything you need to be successful academically. And then again, talk about the affordability of our programs and all of it backed up by the Tulane name. So I see the hand raised, but I'm gonna go on to the next slide and then we'll see if you've answered your question if that's okay, Gray. Online learning at SoPA, online learning is an area that many more people in higher education have experience with now than they did a couple years ago, pre-pandemic. We've been doing it for a long time, and we do it really well. And we have a model that makes the most of the platform and the method of teaching, and combines again, work done on your own and flexibility with time spent working synchronously, which is what we're doing right now, where everyone's on at the same time in the best possible way. And then in some instances with program components that take place on ground in New Orleans, specifically in our Master of Public Administration. So it's a really good mix. The materials that you need are multimedia, right? So if you don't have a background in online learning, you might be used to articles and books that you buy. And that's, books and articles are part of what we do, but so are videos and news outlets and recorded lectures and interviews, simulations even, and games. All these kinds of things are integrated into the teaching materials. You have interactive work every single week where you are having a discussion board online with some questions where you're interacting with and responding to one another's comments. You might have reviews of one another's work in draft form and small group projects, for example. And typically at least once a month, and a meeting where everyone is on at the same time. In many classes, you have an opportunity to actually be online with your fellow students more than once a month, but we typically have a required session once a month. It could be with a guest speaker. It could be in a structured discussion or a lecture by your faculty. And the way that we know, one of the ways that we know that the way we teach online is really successful is in the next slide through all these different measures and metrics. So the next slide shows how many students have taken our online courses, how many hours of instruction, the numbers of programs that we offer online, and the numbers of faculty, all of it backed up by a staff focused on design, and ways of teaching effectively, and supporting and training faculty so that they can do their best work. In the next slide, this is just a little bit of a glimpse into some examples of our faculty members. So we have a mix of full-time and part-time faculty at the school. In most cases, the people who are teaching full-time all actually came from industry. That is the case with Tyra Mitchell and Ralph Russo, whose photos are up on the screen. Ralph directs our information technology programs, but also has an extensive background as a tech entrepreneur and working in the public sector, in particular with cybersecurity and public safety. Tyra Mitchell is a faculty member in our kinesiology program, so teaching in health and wellness and sports studies, but came from industry, came from working in healthcare as a physical therapist at a large healthcare system in the state of Louisiana. Over on the left-hand side are two faculty who work full-time in industry and teach in our programs because they love having an opportunity to support the next generation of leaders in their field. So Ashley Hand works in the public sector and is a faculty member in public administration, and Derek Bose is a faculty member in our emergency and security studies program, so Homeland Security and emergency management. So those are just a few examples. We have about 40 full-time faculty in the school and about 200 adjunct faculty, which means people who teach part-time. And one of the things they bring, in addition to, of course, all of the knowledge that they have from their educational backgrounds and from their professional work, is also their professional networks and connections, which are often deployed to help students. Because in most cases, you're coming to us because you're looking for career opportunities and career advancement. This slide has a quick list of all of our master's degrees, current master's degrees. Some of them are Master of Science degrees. Some of them are Master of Professional Studies degrees. We have a Master of Liberal Arts degree and also a Master of Public Administration. So all of this is in applied fields where you're gaining knowledge, credentials, and connections to help you with the next stage of your career, but also supporting your career long-term, as well as in the case of the Master of Liberal Arts program, an arts and humanities program that is focused on adult students and the needs of adult students. The next slide has a list of graduate certificates, and the graduate certificates are what we call stackable, which means that you can enroll in a graduate certificate. It has the same admissions process and standards as our master's degrees, and you can decide that you want to apply the coursework toward the master's degree and have a seamless transition from the certificate into the master's degree, or you can decide that you just want to have a real focus on one particular area or two particular areas, and if you're not looking for the full degree. The full degree programs are between 10 and 13 courses. The graduate certificates are 4 courses, and with one exception, which is the Cyber Technology Fundamentals program, which is 6 courses. And so you can, if you want, you can get a certificate program done in 2 semesters. Decide that actually you want to continue and continue with us, or you can finish your program in that period of time. Again, like I said, in every instance, except for Cyber Technology fundamentals actually. The courses that you take in the certificate program will go toward a master's degree and allow you to go back and forth if you wish. The next slide has a list of our post-baccalaureate certificate programs. And so what that means is that these are areas of study where a graduate degree may not have the same meaning as just getting the knowledge that is needed. Digital design is a great example of that, graphic design and interactive design, our teacher certifications in special education and English language learners, but you need to have a bachelor's degree in order to enroll in these programs, and that's why we call them post-baccalaureate. All right, so that's all our programs, and we're happy to follow up with you to get more information about them, and also to steer you toward our informational webinars with the faculty in those programs. We also have a program called Credit for Prior Learning, which is various ways of helping you to earn credit toward the master's degree for training you've already undergone, or education in other kinds of programs, and for work and volunteer experience. So you can, for example, work with our faculty to document your experience in a particular field and apply that toward the master's degree. So if you come in, for example, if you come into the public administration program, you already have a background in public sector budgeting. Our faculty will work with you to document your experience, to match it up to the coursework, and then we'll actually grade your portfolio. That's what we call the documentation. And you can earn up to 6 credits toward the master's degree. 6 credits means 2 courses. And so if you're looking at a program that's between 10 and 13 courses, 2 courses is a meaningful contribution. And then finally, my last slide before I circle back to Gray for his question and then hand things off to Sheila, is to talk about student support and success. And so basically what that means is that we know our students are typically juggling a lot of different things, whether you're going part-time or full-time. We have students who have jobs, we have students who have families, we have students who have volunteer obligations. We sometimes have students who are in the reserves and might get deployed in the middle of a program. And so our faculty and our staff at the school are all about doing whatever we can to help you navigate the challenges of life so that you can stay on track toward your degree or certificate, and so that you can do your best academic work. And so that means flexibility on our part. It means a lot of experience in working with students who are balancing school and the rest of their lives. And specifically, it means that you have an assigned academic advisor who can work with you to figure out what courses to take when, how to navigate challenges that might come up. Of course, the faculty with industry experience and connections, a dedicated career advisor who has the ability to work with you individually, but also offers workshops on things like getting your LinkedIn profile into shape, translating a background in, let's say the hospitality industry into a new career in teaching or government or working in sports, for example. And then, of course, the networks that you develop of peers and other Tulane alumni, and that you'll have for the rest of your career and the rest of your life. So let me just take a second and see if I've answered Gray's question, or if there's anything that we didn't cover? Okay. So with that, I will turn things over to Sheila to talk more about the admissions process.
Thanks, Suri. So welcome everybody once again to coming to our webinar. I want to share with you a little bit of information about our admissions process on the next slide. And if you could advance us to the next slide, that would be great. So a little bit about the affordability of the School of Professional Advancement. So our tuition rate per credit hour at SoPA is $1,119 per credit hour. Our classes are 3 credit hours per class. I do like to let students know, I like to be very intentional in saying, I know that students do a lot of comparative work between our university and other universities. We have very few fees in addition to our tuition. So when comparing our school to other schools, please take fees into account because we keep our fees very, very low. With that said, most of our students do apply for some sort of financial aid, generally through either grants or loans. You'll need to do that by filling out the FAFSA form, the federal form for financial aid. I always tell students do not wait to the last minute to do that. When filling out your application for admission, I would start the FAFSA process at the same time. It can take several weeks to go through that process. There's lots of pieces of information that they ask for. And so it's not the kind of thing that you want to wait until the end of the process to go ahead and get that paperwork started. We do offer several different 20% tuition discounts that might be interesting to some of you. I hope it's interesting to most of you. We are very proudly a yellow ribbon school. So if that is applicable to you, we are position ourselves to be very veterans friendly and active duty military friendly. We also offer 20% discounts for retired safety personnel. If anyone on the webinar has a degree from a minority serving institution, an HBCU, we offer a 20% discount for that as well. And if anyone was a Phi Theta Kappa member in undergraduate, that we offer a 20% discount as well. Suri also spoke 2 slides previously about our credit for prior learning, and we like to include that as a potential for savings as well. It could save you tuition for up to 2 classes and also time towards completion. So a little bit of information about our application process. Our application is an electronic application. It's not paper. It lives on our website. It can be found at sopa.tulane.edu. There's a big button on the top that says apply. You click that and it will open you up to the application portal. We try to keep our application process straightforward and easy to understand, but there are always questions that come up during the process. We welcome those questions. We like it when prospective students reach out to us, so please don't be reluctant or shy. We feel like the application process is the beginning of our relationship building with our students, and this is one of the ways we get to know you is when you reach out and ask questions. With that said, it is somewhat of a straightforward process. We do have a $50 application fee associated with the application, but we are taking attendance at this webinar. And as a thank you to you for spending part of your day in the middle of your day, we will waive that fee. So when you submit your application, you should not see that you're requested to pay a fee. If you have already submitted your application and have paid the fee, please email me and I can refund that fee for you very easily. So don't be shy about that. We also require a current valid ID for most students. That's as simple as taking a picture with your phone of your driver's license or your passport, and you can upload that to the application. We will need transcripts from any school for where you received college credit. So you will need to send those to us. Electronically is the preferred method. Some schools don't send electronic transcripts, and you can send them via US mail as well. We do not require the GRE. Many students are very happy to hear that. So we do not require the GRE. And then for some of our graduate applications, you will also be asked to include a written statement and a resume. So these are some of the components of our application. If you have any questions, once again, please feel free to email us and we're happy to chat with you. Some application deadlines that are important to know about is we are currently accepting applications for our summer term. That deadline is May 1. Our application for fall is also open. That deadline is August 1. And if you're really planning ahead to spring semester, which is January term of the following year, January 1 is our deadline. We do offer early enrollment scholarships. So if you apply, get admitted and register for classes by these early deadlines, you will receive a $500 scholarship off your first semester. So for summer, if you register for classes by April 25th, you'll receive the scholarship. For fall term, if you register by June 1, and for spring term, if you register by December 1, you will automatically receive $500 towards your first semester of tuition. Our application process is rolling, which means that as soon as you complete your application for admission, we will review it and get your admissions decision to you. So even though we have deadlines, you can certainly apply before the deadline and receive an admissions decision. And we hope that you will do that. That way you can receive the early enrollment scholarship. And that's just, we enjoy doing that. It makes the first semester a little bit easier for students. Okay, so my contact information is on the screen right now. So if you have any questions about the application, please feel free to email me. But we can answer any questions that you all may have. You can drop them in the chat or just take yourself off of mute.
And while we're waiting to see if people have any questions, I'll just say a little bit more about the student body at SoPA and what it's like to be a student here. You know, we have an incredibly diverse student body at SoPA. We have students ranging in age from early 20s to actually students who are in their 70s. So people at all stages of their career and lives. We have students who are looking at a second career. We have students who are just out of undergraduate. We have students who take, 2 classes or 3 classes at once. Sometimes they take 1, sometimes they take 4, which is a lot. They are incredibly diverse racially, ethnically, socioeconomically, in every single way that you could imagine, which makes for an incredible experience for students and for the faculty who get to teach you. We do not require letters of recommendation, although we do accept letters of recommendation. And in some cases, those can be helpful with the admissions decision. And our faculty, who are the ones who make the decisions actually to admit students at the graduate level, also sometimes ask for interviews and want to get to know you a little bit more before making the decision about whether or not you seem like a good fit for the program. Any other questions that people have? Well, so again, like Sheila said, we really do appreciate you taking time out of your day. We will be following up with you. You'll hear from us again. And we look forward to getting to know you as you navigate your process and your decision about going back to school. So thanks again for your time. And we will see you soon, we expect. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.